everyone. Today we are having a podcast with Mr. Madhavan. Mr. Madhavan is a seasoned professional with about 28 years of experience across diverse industries, including BFSI, healthcare, and IT services. As a head of engineering at Namaste Credit, he brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to table. Join us. We delve into his insights and experience, exploring the dynamic landscape of technology, quality assurance, and innovation in the majorly in the BFSI segment. Obviously, Namaste Credit is one of the very well-known brands in Indian market also. So it'd be interesting to hear how the credit market is evolving, and also how the technology is playing a role, and how do they make sure that it's a bug-free journey for their products which they ship into production. Yes, yeah, Mr. Madam, welcome to the podcast, and
Yes,
please,
thanks for the giving me an opportunity to have a discussion with you. It's
okay.
great and pleasure to be, talking to people and looking at what insights that we have been into, delivering in terms of technology that I have done in last 3 decades.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Mr. Madhav, you have been almost for 3 decades. You have been working in the market. You have held several CIO, CTO roles, head of engineering roles. How do you think these roles have shaped your perspective on the technology, and especially in the BFSI segment?
To a large extent, if you look at the roles that I have been playing, yes, as a CIO or a head of engineering, it's just a more like a tag that you play, but then you are basically looking at a strategist to, for the business, then shaping customer experiences, fostering agility, leading digital transformations. These are some challenges that, that comes in as a, as a leader that you look at. And then the approach has been every time to outcome oriented engineering, to practical thinking, and looking at how a crucial to BFSI is required in terms of transforming capabilities and building high performance teams is something which is very required for the BFSI space. Because this is very critical, and it's like a bank does not really function, and people are in big lurch, right? Because everybody depends on the bank, and
Yes.
and the technology is something today. Nobody wants to go to the bank. We are saying, oh, okay, everything is online. Go, don't come to the branch. Don't come at all. That's what we look at, right? But that's where it's a big transformation. In last 2 decades, at least the banking space has gone into a large more width and breadth. It's moved from a normal banking to which was a people used to come with their take their statements printed, and now everything is online, including onboarding, and somebody even applying for a loan is all onboarding experiences has been become online. It's all digital now. Nobody needs to go to the bank. Via your mobile you can do everything today.
Agree with you. Yeah, the need of going to bank is reducing more and more, and everything can be done digitally, over the internet, over the mobile apps. Agree with you. And in fact, I was talking to some of my friends in US also. Even there also in last 10 years, a lot of change in the banking has come, where there is very little employees needed to manage the day-to-day operations. Rather, they are more, pretty much everything is. You have even like, I don't know if you see in the airports also, a lot of kiosks have come,
Yes,
which make sure that they reduce the dependency on the human beings,
correct.
that hiring and maintaining a lot of workforce, and then all
Yes,
that stuff. Yes.
yeah.
And how does the landscape of the quality assurance evolved in the BFSI industry in your career? How do you think that testing overall has moved on for so many decades?
See, QA has really been an emerging as a fundamental aspect of BFSI, right? It's like, very, we need to ensure delivery to be secure, reliable, compliant, and, you look at it should be completely a bug free, to a large extent. Vulnerability should be zero, right? And then you can't have somebody to hack your system. Nobody should, look at transactions that goes through, because it's a completely encrypted space, and QA plays a major role here. It's not that the industry, it's just people may be thinking, it's all development. It's not so. QA plays a major role in this in terms of the kind of deliveries that what we do, largely uh, ensuring the seamless transactions which has to happen, then We need to have security of financials or personal data, which is today people talk about data, which is very important, right? The KYC, what banks call them as know your customer. It's so crucial that the data cannot be leaked out to anyone else. Either it's the PAN, Aadhaar, or your voter ID. You are not supposed to showcase that to anyone. So that's data is becoming very critical, and banks have been, are the financial institutions are. You look at the RBI itself puts a guideline that the data of a customer is very secured and it cannot be given out in the public space.
Yes, yes, I agree with you.
So QA has been involved with that, to a large. We initially people used to, we used to say, okay, you do your unit testing, you do your system testing and all, but then today it's more towards vulnerabilities. Look at, where are the loopholes in terms of people can hack your data, how data has been crucial for the, the financial institutions today. Look at it, how they, they need to be managed. So I think the QA has evolved into a larger space. DevSecOps has taken a lot space today. It's become a bigger thing, and security. You look at a lot of tools towards the security. A lot of tools towards the encryption has been changed. A lot of things has happened in this space.
Process. I agree with you. Mm, okay, and then what are the tools you guys used lately? In your overall QA landscape, what do you think in the market are being using, or what you have brought specifically in the Namaste credit, or what are the specific tools which have added a lot of efficiency in your QA cycle?
See, one of the things that we have looked at largely is that, yes, we have not automated our testing to a large extent. It's a lot of manual work which goes in. We are trying to get into automation.
Okay,
A lot of our tools are in terms of, vulnerability and all. We have Sonar Cube, which we, when the code is put into the Git, we run the Sonar Cube so that we get to know in the repository if there are any vulnerabilities available. So, we get to know before we deploy those. So there's a
yeah,
vulnerability already available to us. Where are the leaks in terms of data leaks, or is it in terms of, breach of the coding standard, or, some vulnerability where, the it's the port exposure, or whatever's been available, something can be hacked. So all those vulnerabilities are looked at, and then we do a complete regression on the UAT itself, and and then we run load testing on using our JMeter. We look at that and then see how far the tolerance, how what is the scale that we can go up to. All that has been tested, and then we look at pushing into the production. And then in production also we do a couple of tests in more of sanity and regression, so that it does not really fail, so we get to know if there are any issues there. So
got it.
that's the way
Yeah,
it goes.
makes sense. And then since BFSA has, banking has, the whole BFS segment has a lot of compliance requirement. How do you, in the testing, how do you manage the test data part of it? For your test teams, or even dev teams, how do you make sure that you have the some sort of near to real data to test your assumptions, whatever you have built up?
Uh, Typically, we have our own data that we build in, right? So what we do is that our own internal data is in terms of, our own employee database. We look at it, we take it up, and then do a lot of our testing towards there. We take up those data for the, basically to build. A lot of models are built based on our profiles itself. We take our
Okay.
own pans, we take it up and put it up there and try building those data to build the models, so that we could recognize what kind of fraud can happen, where are the areas that fraud can happen. So we build those also. We try editing them and putting across. So the whole model gets evolved based on that. So it's all internal data that we have, and then there are some data which has been, we go to the client, we do ask them, so they provide us some data to test it on. So there are times we get that data, so we do across some unit testing there in terms of with that data. And then in UAT, we do have our clients do a test. So with their actual data, they try testing it out, and then we have the integrations with their core banking system. So obviously, the data has to migrate to their systems, right? From onboarding, which we have as a platform. So the data comes on here by a, typically from a lender. The lender has his own core banking system, so he has to look at how data flows there. So there's an end to end which happens. So we get to do that in the UAT phase itself. So the staging phase, we do all that and ensure that the data is seamlessly available. but the models are read through our own insights. So we build a lot of our own, as I said, a lot of our data is internally available, and that's what we use and build those models. And then we run those models on the actual data to, so that the whole the banking BFSI space gets to know this is how the models are built and the accuracy of the data. So frauds are checked, is where is the fraud happened. So we analyze and tell them, we show them this is the area that fraud has been happening, and at the end of the day they look at it and then make a decision. Obviously OCR today does not read 100%, right? So there are a lot of things that goes through it, and it's all, most of the OCRs are around 90%. So even we have our own inbuilt OCR, so even we have it at 90%. So it's not that data is correctly available, but then we do look at where is it tampered and how does it happen there.
And how about the implementation of the AI blockchain technologies? How you are seeing implementation of that in the BFSI segment?
See, largely, I think today, if everybody talks about fraud detection, face recognition, now more than the face recognition is the fraud, right? If you are your own the KYC docs today, a lot of fraud can happen in terms of somebody changes the photo in a Aadhaar or a PAN,
Yes.
and you can change the name in the PAN or Aadhaar, right? All that happens, right? So all that is possible. So we have built models to analyze this, and we do it really at the pixel level. So we know where it has got changed, where is the location. If there's an alteration in that, in terms of more, let's say somebody is trying to superimpose an image. So we get to know, is it superimposed, or is it, how has it been done? So we identify those areas and tell, this is where the fraud has happened or tampered has happened.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the models are built such that we know there are, today if you look, there are about 10, 12 types of bank cards available. Aadhaar cards where as they evolved in last 10 years, there were also different Aadhaar cards which has come. So we have even built all those things. And if you look at, largely the problem has been on the driving license. We have about 27 states, and each state has its own driving license. So even there we have built all those models for that. So we have kind of taken as much possible all those samples, done a lot of sampling, built over it the whole model to identify and say, okay, if this is a sample somebody uploads, how does it, where, which state does it belong to? Also, we have kind of mapped it to it, saying that, okay, somebody is putting up in this OCR to read, and then we analyze that format. What is it? Was completely format diagnosed there, and then look at, is it tampered or is it fine? Everything is okay there. No, it's not fraud. So nobody has tampered it or fraud has happened on that, and then we process it out.
Got it. Got it.
Even the data comes from there, and literally is nothing that we don't have somebody to key in the data, because we read through the OCR and pre-populate all that data onto the application. So there's no physical data entry happening by any of the MSMEs or SMEs to apply a loan. It's all just doc uploads, and then we take care about the rest.
Got it. Got it. And then normally in the product, so your cycle, are you using like a 2 to 4 week sprint cycle, or do you have a much longer cycle for a product development?
No, we have an agile method. So we are like a 2 week cycle. We do release every 2 weeks. But then if there's a larger release that we have, something which is related to, core products. See, we have a lot of banks which are integrated to us, right? So
Yes.
now there are some specific changes that we do to them. Yeah, they go in about 4 weeks once. There, if there are some product changes that go, they go in 2 weeks once.
Okay.
And we are
Okay.
a SaaS base, so our largely everybody is on the same platform for us. It's not that I am on both Azure and AWS, so all our customers are on both the platforms.
Okay. Wonderful. And then what are the KPIs you guys take to measure the effectiveness of your testing, or overall team productivity, overall efficiency and effectiveness?
Yeah, we use Jira as a tool to measure our productivity and velocity,
Okay.
to allow and look at the KPIs there. What has been kind of predefined there. So we know that as this is let's take a task is broken into multiple components and looked at it. So we do that, and then say, okay, this is a small task, that is, if it's a 2 day task, it's a 2 day. It's an 8 hour task, something, and then, but then it's not that we define a complete 8 hour cycle in a day to a Jira. No, we say it's a 5 hour cycle is what we look at in the Jira, and then the for 3 hours is more perspective in terms of the skills that they want to scale, or there are some gaps that they want to ask questions back to the engineering leaders to say, okay, this is the way that do you think the implementation should happen, all those things. But the actual code is what we see is about just 5 hours a day.
And then how about, like, do you also measure defect leakage in production, test case efficiency, or use chat GPT to improve your test case writing, all that kind of, how do you
Yeah, we are trying to get into the chat GPT, the basically the Gen AI. We are trying to get into our writing our test scripts, even to an extent that we are also trying, can I componentize the basic code at least from that,
okay.
right? So I can increase the efficiency in terms of developers also. So we are looking at those. We are, but then largely it depends on what tech stack that we are using it, right?
Yes.
Now, if it is very, ChatGPT is more towards, I would say, standard based, you look at CC programming, or you look at VBA, or you look at VC++, it's more towards, Python. But then largely we are into open source. So, it depends how am I using Node.js to work on towards there. It doesn't give me completely write a basic code there. So it's totally different. So we are trying it out. It's not that we have ruled out any of them. We are also trying to see how I can efficiently increase our productivity in terms of deliverables, and look at better testing also in terms of creating these large test cases. Need not miss out, run those test cases and see the scripts are better out to be there, and run through it. So one of
Wonderful.
the reasons is, yes, we are moving to a more of a automation tool. We are looking at a couple of them. We are trying to see what is good, but then we have written a lot of our test scripts ourselves. We have automated a lot of our backend processes where we
Okay.
have written the test scripts so that it tests automatically, and which used to be a manual process which we used to do, used to take at least about a week's time to run one specific model, but today we do it in an hour's time. So we have improved those on the backend processes. We have done that. But then actually on the front end, if you look at our journeys, the onboarding journeys, there it's pretty challenging because the onboarding journey keeps changing. It's not that it's a standard one that I will have for next 6 months and write a test script. So it keeps evolving. We keep adding things on the onboarding side. It happens as the customers' requests also change. So we keep adding them. So we productize that. So all that comes in. So in a sense, it's been a challenge, but then we are trying to get that also automated in place.
And like, how about and what kind of people you look out in the market to build your teams? What is the top three skills you look in people, either in terms of technical skills or in terms of the personal skills?
This is a quite a challenging question today, right? All of these startups look at majorly look at attitude,
Yes.
and then foundations to be great. Because if these two are there, obviously you can get them to code, right? It's not that if the foundation is not good and attitude is not good, then you can't mentor them to deliver anything great.
Yes. Yes. Agree with you.
So these are the two key things that I look at it in terms of if I have to hire somebody as a fresher or even a lateral, experience. See, any language experience is not something which is required. I don't care if they've done with Java, they've done with C, or if they've done with any other language, like let's take React or PHP. It's the foundation, the approach towards it, the solutioning, and an attitude towards learning it out, right?
Yes. Agree.
That's the key factor for to really deliver anything there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the attitude and aptitude. I think aptitude is secondary. Attitude is first. If person is humble and willing to learn, and wanting to adapt themselves into new
Yes,
environment. I
correct.
think that's a very crucial success for anybody to make your way through.
Yeah, but if you look at it, being in 3 decades, that what I have learned is that when we were young, we used to be more oriented to learning. We knew that okay, this is a hard process that we need to be there. This is the right way to go. But then today, if you look at the current last 3 years generation, it's totally different. They believe in using every kind of available tool which can make their life easier. Do some basic codes available, take it up, then cut and paste out there, and then you try modifying it. You know, that's not the way. We have gone with hard, line by line writing something which is looking at does this work? We don't know. We have gone with a trial and error method, but then today it's more different.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's true
That's
also.
good. Yeah, good.
And then what other advice you will give to the business leaders who are trying to build dev teams or test teams, or DevOps teams out there? What are the how would you advise them, or the professionals who are trying to build a career in this line?
See, largely I would ask them to look at, the major key factor today is how learnability the guy has got. Is he has an attitude towards, whatever it is in terms of learning, or is he a good listener there? Can he mold himself? Is he able to, try and put out something? People don't even question you. Okay, if you tell them this is a problem, they don't even come back and question you, right? So you need to look at these are some of the key factors that I look at. They need to also look at this. Then you can try getting them onto any language that they want them to work on. If the
Got it.
foundation is good, and the attitude and the capability of asking, coming back and asking questions, trying to understand the understanding the solution, problem or the solution to depth, really getting in and asking basic. Even you may not know, it's not the, people may think, oh, I'm asking a very dumb question, but then that's not the reality. You need to be even asking that. There are people who
Yes.
don't ask is because of fear, but then if you are away from this fear, I'm sure you will get better developers or testers available today to look at and do delivery better.
Yes, agree with you.
Yeah.
And then what are the, what do you think? What are the other things which engineers can focus, even in the technical skill side, which they can focus in the next 2 years, to build a better career?
Yeah, I would say, look at adopting new technologies, embracing the digital transformation.
Okay.
Look at it, how AI or, our data science can really make sense. Blockchain may be one of the things, but then blockchain has, really not so much that's taken off, but then, it would. There would be a time that, the blockchains or the AI, the data science is really catching up. I think today a lot of them are dependent on data, and data
Yes.
makes the decision, right?
Yes.
It goes to be is the BFSI space, or you look at manufacturing, all everywhere it's data. If the data is right, and data can make a lot of decisions for you,
Good
and
point.
people need to think towards there, not to think that, okay, yes, I just want to code and be a coder in specific language. I don't believe that. You should be more, I don't tell them to be, code specific. Look at your foundations to be clear. Better, you can do any language of coding what you want to do. You could shift between languages without any hassles.
Okay, wonderful ideas. And finally, can you share with us any memorable experience which or lesson you learned throughout your career, which you would believe has will inspire our audience? Anything which you think.
There's a lot of that. I think I've learned in my career in terms of the lessons which has taken me, given me the insights. Uh, I would say like to be really successful in terms of growing in the industry is that you need to have your foundation sound. You should be down to the earth to look at what's there. You need to hear to people, take their advices. It's not that advices are just meant for somebody to criticize you. No, those advices means something that you learn from there. Learn from those mistakes, learn from those criticizers. Take it as a positive note, and that's where I've grown. I've looked at that, and today if I look at it, I do balance between my client's expectation and my team's expectations. I really look at as a wall. that either the clients don't get to know what's happening internally, and the teams don't know what's happening with the client.
Now, yeah, that's great points, Madhavan. Thank you for sharing all of it, and I thank you, audience, for your time. We'll close off the podcast and then
Sure. Yeah.
see you again on the
Thanks.
next session. Yeah, thank
Thanks.
you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you
Rupesh.
very much.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
Bye.